So I named this this video is Charlotte way different than New York? Now, what I meant to really say is the North or is the South way different from the North? And I can tell you, it's different. And you know, I just thought that I was gonna stop doing these videos, but there are things that I haven't mentioned and I just forgot. You know, like when you live in the South for years like I have, right? You really don't pay attention to the little things. The little things, right? So I wrote down a list of things that I know that a lot of New Yorkers would really be like, wow, they don't do this, or they do this, or blah, 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 blah. You understand? So I don't know if you all know me, my channel. You know, my name is Langston2092. I'll just give you a little small background of where I've lived. I've lived in New York, you know, Brooklyn, Long Island, Jamaica, Queens. I've lived in North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, Charlotte. I've also lived in Atlanta, and I've also lived in Orlando. So those are the places that I've lived in, and you know, I can say out of all of those places that I've lived in, and I'm not being biased because I live here, I think Charlotte is the overall best. Now, like I've said in numerous of videos that I've done, you know, in specific about Charlotte, I don't plan to be here for the rest of my life. You know, I tend to venture out and want to see, you know, other places and see just how their culture is and their vibe is, you know. But at the end of the day, if wherever I may move to in the near future, if it doesn't work out, I always will call Charlotte my home. Meaning that if it doesn't work out, I'm just gonna come back here. That plain and simple. So let's get to this situation. Normally I don't take down notes, but I just definitely wanted to get these things across, and I did not want to forget it. So the first thing that you're going to realize is that there's a state tax. And here in the state of North Carolina, no matter where you're at, well, regardless of whether it's Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, Greensboro, Fayetteville, and the list goes on, Winston-Salem, etc., right? The list goes on. There's a 7.25 tax, right? So for those that are not used to paying taxes, you know, like you go get a candy bar, it's going to be 7.2. No, I don't know how it varies out, but whatever, there's a tax, right? But the average tax is 7.25. I don't know if it goes for like a candy bar, something that's like 99 cents or something like that. I don't know. But for the most part, because I don't really pay attention to it, because I've been down here for so many years, it just doesn't dawn on me like that. I don't pay attention to you know, how much it comes to, you know, as far as dealing with the tax included. I just pay for whatever I buy. So just know that we do have a state tax here, right? The second thing is tolls, right? So just about wherever you go in the North, you're going to stop every certain so odd miles at a toll booth. We don't have any tolls, at least not tolls like New York or Jersey or Delaware, and I think DC, and not I think DC, Maryland. We don't have toll booths, right? We have this thing called expressway, right? And it's called you get an NC pass, right? And so it's an expressway that you can take. It starts from Uptown all the way to Huntersville, and the prices vary. You know what I'm saying? It depends on what exit you get off of. You know, it varies like 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, or whatever have you. Other than that, there's no other tolls that I know of in the state of North Carolina, with the exception of they have one in Raleigh. I forgot what highway it is. You know, I don't want to say the wrong highway, but it's a highway before you get to not RTP, the Cary, where the airport is at. They have like a toll booth, like it's a highway that goes somewhere. It's a toll booth there. Other than that, there's no other toll booths that I know about. So if you wanted to leave here from Charlotte, right, and you want to go see a Duke game or Carolina, you want to see Carolina game, you know, or you wanted to see the Hurricanes, the professional hockey team that they have in Raleigh, from Charlotte to Raleigh, there's no toll booths, period. Okay, the next thing is, this may sound kind of weird, but specifically in boroughs like Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, you can feel me on it, right? There's grass everywhere, trees everywhere. So when you're living in the South, specifically Charlotte, there's trees and grass everywhere. You understand? It's of course there's city. Of course, you know, we have streets and highways and stuff like that. But there's trees and grass everywhere. Nature is everywhere. You understand? We don't have like, you know, an area where there's just, you know, clumps of buildings upon buildings upon buildings. I mean, you have that in South End going into Uptown and Uptown, but that's about it. You know, well, I say Ballantyne, a little spot in Ballantyne and South Park, but that's pretty much it. You understand? Like you really don't have these clumps of area where there's just, as you all may call it, the concrete jungle. You know, you have businesses, restaurants, and malls, strip malls, and stuff like that. I got the premium outlet right up the street, but it's grass and trees everywhere. Okay, so if you're not used to grass and trees, and that's another thing, which leads me to this point. Every year, around March, the beginning of March, till the end of May, if I'm not mistaken, pollen season. So pollen is this dust that's annoying, and I am allergic to it. I sneeze, my eyes get turned red. I hate pollen season, but it's just this dust. It's our, I'm not lying, this is my word, it's our green snow. So pollen can get on your car, you know, on your clothes. It's just, it's everywhere from the end of March all the way up to June. I know New York, you all experience that a little bit, not that much. What I'm telling you is that when you come down here and this pollen season, no matter where you're at, you could be in Atlanta, because Atlanta's Atlanta's worse, because Atlanta is like a jungle. I'm not lying. It's trees everywhere. Like, it's triple the amount of trees in Atlanta than it is in Charlotte. So you living in Atlanta, it's horrible. The only place that doesn't really get pollen is because it stays hot, you know, year long, is like central on down to South Florida. That's it. Other than that, you know, places like South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, those places you're gonna get pollen. The weather. Everybody claims, excuse me for a second, everybody claims that the South is hot year long. That's not the truth. We have 4 seasons. We have fall, winter, spring, and summer. Now, as of lately, years, you know, this has been as of lately. Like I say a little over 10 years as of lately, our winters haven't been winters. Like, we've had like mild winters. Like, it's nothing. This is how North Carolina weather is, right? No matter where you're at. But Charlotte, it kind of varies, because I heard that on the news that Greensboro experienced an ice storm today. We didn't get no ice. So sometimes Charlotte, because it sits on the edge of North Carolina, it's like, I'm like minutes away from the South Carolina state line, right? So we don't get, I guess the way the jet stream goes, we'll be a couple of degrees higher in temperature than like Greensboro or Durham and Raleigh, because they sit further up in the state of North Carolina. So like, take for example, when I used to live in Durham, it took me nothing but 8 hours to get to New York. Now, if I go to New York, it'll take me about 10 and a half or something like that, right? So the weather, you know, it fluctuates. Like, a couple of days it was 60 degrees, and now it's like, right now you walk outside, it's like 30. You understand? So as of recently, we don't really get those bad winters. It snowed for like 4 hours here a couple of like about 2 weeks ago, and it melted like after that. So we don't get the large amounts of snow and all of that stuff. Like, I'm gonna tell you, listen, I had a North Face jacket, right? Big ones, you know, one of the big joints, right? And I was wearing it and wearing it and wearing it here. And I'm saying to myself, like every year, I'm saying to myself, why in the hell am I wearing this heavy ass coat? I wound up selling it. Because you just don't need it. You don't need a North Face jacket. You don't need like Tim boots and all these like layers of clothes. Like I have some long johns, right? I could tell you I wore them. Now, winter's still not over, right? But I wore my long johns for about, I say from December, like it starts to get cold around November, all the way up till about March, right? I probably wore my long johns twice. That's it. And the second time I wore them, it was cold outside in the morning, and then as it got close to the afternoon, I started to get hot, so I had to take them off. So the weather is really kind of like mild, somewhat. Winters, the spring, it rains a lot. You'll get your seesaw like type of weather. You'll get your 60s, your 70s, and you might get your, like, it depends. Like sometimes, like it just depends on, I don't know. I just don't know. Like the weather is just strange. You'll get your 60, 70, 80 degrees in the spring. But then once you get to like around May, mid-May, it's a wrap. You wearing shorts and tank tops. That's it. So that's the thing about the weather. We call them dog days. Dog days are July and August. That's when you hit your 100-degree, 98, 97, 96, 95. June is kind of like hot, but it's not really hot. It's like your 89, 92. But July and August is just hot. In September, it's like in the 90s. October is like 75, 80. November is like 60. And then December is like, 50, 60, 50, 50, 50, 40, 60. You see what I'm saying? It varies. And then that's when you get, our coldest months are January and February. Okay, let's move on. Politics and religion. We are a Bible state. Once you pass the Mason-Dixon line, pretty much all of the states on down are religious, and they're heavy on religion, and they're heavy on politics. So when it's time to vote, you'll see a whole bunch of commercials about vote for governor such and 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 such. And it'll be, I'm not lying, it'll be commercials back to 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 back. But in between that, it's crazy. In between that, they'll be selling cars. So if you don't like politics and religion, you might not want to come here, because they're big on that. Even though they're heathens, and I'm just being real with you, even though half of the state be sinning on Saturday, Monday through Saturday, they damn for sure gonna be at church on Sunday, asking God to forgive them from smoking pot, sniffing coke, messing with prostitutes or whatever. So this state, I think all southern states are just full of it. So they make sure they go to church, but they are heathens. They contradict themselves. They be sinning like hell, Monday through Saturday, but they make sure they at their church on Sunday. Let's move on. HBCUs, historically black college universities, right? I hardly see any in the northern states. There are a shitload, and excuse me for cursing, there are a shitload of historically black colleges in the South. Here in Charlotte, we have Johnson C. Smith. Right down the street, you have Livingstone, if I'm not mistaken. Further down the street, and I'm talking, I'm saying down the street, but hours away, you have North Carolina Central University. You got North Carolina A&T. I went to St. Augustine's College in Raleigh. You got Shaw University in Raleigh. There's so many black colleges around here. You understand? So and don't get it wrong. I don't want this to be a negative video, but I just don't understand when people come down here that's from New York or from the northern states. They're like, yo, the South is slow and dumb. And I'm like, yo, do you understand how many black colleges are here? Do you understand how many colleges are here, period? Like, there's Queens College here, Johnson C. Smith, you got Johnson & Wales, that's a culinary school. You have UNC Charlotte, you have Queens College, you have, I think it's called Piedmont College, that's the 2-year joint. And it's like two other, we got like seven to eight colleges in one little small, not small, but one city. Okay, dressing. I'm glad I'm. Listen, let me tell you something. When I lived in New York, right, everything was always a fashion show. You know, it was a red carpet affair. You know, a catwalk, and whenever you would go anywhere, whether it was to your local bodega, right? And I hated it. It's like, why do I have to get dressed up just to go to the bodega to get a turkey sandwich? I don't understand it. You understand? Or to go to the Chinese food restaurant. But it was just like that. It was always, you had to look up the par when you stepped out of that door. And I can tell you, don't get it twisted. I like getting dressed up. I like looking nice and all the rest of that. But I'm glad that I don't have that type of pressure in the South. Let me tell you something. I used to ride the bus because I ain't had no car. I remember one time I got on the bus. I forgot what I had on, but it was nice. It wasn't like fly, but it was fly. People were looking at me like, yo, what you dressed up like that for? Where the hell you going? You understand? So it's that type of attitude. So now, I've assimilated. Wherever I go, I assimilate. So if I were to go back to New York, I wouldn't wear half of the shit that I wear in North Carolina. Because they would look at me like, yo, we're going out. Why are you wearing activewear? You understand? But then, now that I'm here, I'm not walking around with, shoes on and this and that. So I'm not doing that. In the summertime, this is my regular wear. I'm not even lying. In the summertime, I'm wearing flip-flop shorts and a tank top. It's that plain and simple. It's too hot. It's too hot. That's the first thing, hands down. It's too hot to be putting on stuff. That's the first thing, right? Then as it gets cold, and in the winter, whatever, I'm wearing activewear. So you may see me, and it may look like I'm going to work out. I'm just chilling. I'm relaxing. You understand? Like in the South, it's not that much pressure. You could be who you want to be. You could dress how you want to dress. And I could just tell you, I'm not telling you that people dress like bums. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying people just don't put forth more effort as much as New Yorkers or the Northerners do. You understand? I mean, that could be a positive and negative. The negative is that you just don't feel the need to get dressed up and look fly. The positive is you just don't feel the need to get dressed up and look fly. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Guns, guns. You have the constitutional right to bear arms to protect and defend your family. That means that if you don't have any felonies, or rather you don't have any domestic abuse, anything dealing with guns and all the rest of that stuff, you don't have no felonies like that, you can go and purchase you a gun. I understand that y'all can't have guns in New York and Jersey and the northern states. Well, whereas here in North Carolina, you can have a gun and you can carry it on your hip for the world to see. Now, I don't do that. I mean, I have guns, but I don't do that. You can also get a CCW, concealed carry weapon. That means that you can take your gun and put it under your shirt where nobody can see. You can conceal it. Or you can put it in your glove compartment, or you can put it under your seat. So that's a fortunate thing that you have here, where if you get in some beef or something like that, listen, but it has to be within legal rights. You can't just say, hey, cops, well, you don't want to talk to the cops. You want to definitely talk to your lawyer, but you can't tell a lawyer, hey, listen, he called me a name that I didn't like. He said, suck my you-know-what. Because New Yorkers, y'all get heated when somebody say that. Suck my you-know-what, right? And I shot him in the face. You can't do that. You can't do it. Black and white areas. There's no such thing as, at least in Charlotte, there's no such thing as a white area that blacks can't go to. Black and white people mingle with one another. There may not be a lot of black people in this particular club, but they're in there and nobody's looking at them funny. Our restaurants, our bars, if anything, I'm gonna be real with you, and this just may be a Charlotte thing. If anything, if you in the bar and you chilling, they're gonna offer you something to drink. I'm not lying. This is my word. I was doing Postmates back in I did a couple months ago, right? I'm not listen, if I gotta go back and do that shit, I'll do it again. But at the end of the day, I was doing Postmates, right? Other than that, I would have done it, right? So hear me out. I'm doing Postmates. I'm going to this restaurant, nice, fancy, jazzy restaurant, right? just so happened that I put on some decent clothes, like, cause when I go on Postmates, I'm doing like 5-star restaurants, I'm picking up food, right? So I put on, you know, some decent clothes, so I'm looking like I'm supposed to be there, right? So I'm waiting at the bar to get these guys food, right? So this white chick, she started like talking to me. She had to be like in her late 40s or something like that, right? So I knew she wanted, you know, she wanted that black stallion, you know what I mean? But that's another story, right? So anyway, we talking or whatever have you, and she was like, yo, you want a drink? I'm like, nah, you know, I'm working right now, this and that. So it was just that easy. So if you want to, you know, we don't have no Chinatown, Little Italy and stuff like that. And if we do, we can go into those places. I think I've covered just about everything. You know, apartments are not ridiculous. I mean, the average apartment goes for 1 bedroom about $1,000. When I moved here, amenities. I'm gonna say two more things and then I'm done. This has something to do with apartments, right? So when I moved here, I was paying like $8.95. I was staying in a jazzy 1 bedroom, fireplace. The gym had an indoor basketball court, a tennis court, a volleyball court, a volleyball joint. What else? A pool. That was $8.95. And then I had the option of renting out a garage if I wanted it. Just about every, like, you know, high-end or nice luxury, they call them luxury apartments or luxury homes. Just about every luxury homes or apartments or whatever have you, they have a pool, a clubhouse, they have all of that. So if you paying, like, let's say for example, if you're paying $1,200 a month for 1 bedroom, right? You're getting all the amenities, And 2 things, and that's it, I'm done. And then the second thing is, a lot of you all live in co-op buildings or, you know, high-rise buildings, projects or whatever have you, and you can't control your heat. We don't have radiators and stuff like that. You understand? I mean, if we do have radiators that you could buy from Walmart or Target or something like that, but why would you do that? I mean, we have central air and heat, so we control our own heat. The second thing is, what was the second? Oh, the second thing is we have a boatload of subdivisions, like communities of houses upon houses upon houses upon houses, and you can get you a decent house, you know, if you're renting. Let's say, I mean, right now I'm paying $1,505. I got, and I always say this, I might as well just like, anyway, I got a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, front yard, backyard, and garage, and I'm paying $1,505. So there's a big difference, man. There's a big difference. One last thing, I'm sorry. Normally, if you're living in a nice community, you don't have no roaches. But I will tell you this, in the summertime, you're gonna see lizards. The wintertime, you're gonna see deers. You're gonna see rabbits. You're gonna see, what else? You're gonna see water bugs. They're that big, but they don't normally come into your house. They have them in Atlanta, and it's just ridiculous. I think they call them wood bugs or tree bugs or something like that. Them joints is like this big, but we don't have them. They like really, they're smaller than half of the size of the Atlanta joints. But you know, you got bugs. You got bugs. It depends on where you're really staying at. If you're staying like way out, like on the outskirts of the city, then you might want to, like, I don't know, like buckle your trash can down, because you may have a possum or raccoon come in it or whatever. And some of you New Yorkers will be like, yo man, I can't deal with that bee. Let me tell you something. My father stayed in Jamaica, Queens, right? Right off of Guy Brewer. I hated it when I would get up early in the morning because they had a raccoon problem. I don't know what the hell happened one year in New York. I don't know whether the damn animals escaped from the zoos or whatever, but they had like possums and raccoons everywhere, like at least in Queens. But other than that, man, that's the difference, you know. I didn't want to stretch this out this long, but it is what it is. Listen, I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share this video. Peace.